we are co-learners. So here I have been invited to share whatever I know from my experience and whatever knowledge I have acquired from different sources. So I would like to share with all of you so that it contributes something to your research journey. So I hope, uh, if not all, most of you are working in different educational institutes associated with research as one of the portfolio. And that might be the reason that you have drawn some motivation from the invitation mail or whatever, and you are here today with me. So today's session, the topic Dayasankar has given me, steps in research. Definitely it is very important in terms of theoretical construct or the methodological foundation of thinking about a research, planning for a research study, designing a research study, or strategizing a research project. So we can call it with different terminologies, we can call it with different terms, but ultimately we need to know where from we shall start and how to proceed and where we shall end. Where research is a time-bound process. It may be short, it may be long, it may be cross-sectional, it may be longitudinal, but it has a time frame. Clear? Learning continues throughout life. So, but research project is a time-bound activity. So definitely it is a scientific process. It has to follow certain methods. Conventional research, I'm talking about conventional research, with which most of us are very much associated and friendly, know little bit more about that particular field of research, that is conventional research, survey research, quantitative research. So that those are mostly discussed and studied across the globe. Uh, so that definitely will have a different set of steps. Okay, but today's world is changing, and we are putting a lot of interest and emphasis on, or focus on, or light on the qualitative research. The qualitative research. Clear? And then we are talking that nowadays people are talking more about case study research method, case studies and case study research, case research. So when we enter into case research, definitely it's very difficult to give you a particularly defined frame, that first you do this and then you do this and then you do this and then you complete this by this end method or end step. It's very difficult when it is a qualitative research to distribute the entire activities, intervention, academic discourse into different defined steps. Very difficult, but definitely a mental frame must be there. Whenever a researcher is engaged in a research study, there must be a mental frame. That's very important. A mind map. A mind map is very essential. So many of the researchers may have confidence in heuristic method. That is also not wrong, in heuristic method. So that definitely requires a kind of a spontaneous thinking ability, a quick response ability, a quick analysis, analytical ability. It's a special cognitive skill that researchers sometimes must have. So a mental shortcut. So I am observing, I am talking to people, I am reading research papers, I am participating in different conferences, seminars, I am engaging myself with different scholars, researchers, experts, and then I develop some understanding, and based on that understanding I quickly formulate certain assumptions. Then whatever data set I am available with me, I just refer it, and then I try to triangulate and then come to a conclusion, some kind of inferences to solve my research problem. So that is heuristic, mental shortcut, based on certain things, based on your perception, your knowledge, your experience, the data set available with you. But there are a lot of criticism against this, heuristic method of or approach of research. But when the researcher is senior, experienced, have completed so many different research projects, have guided a number of research scholars in the MPhil and PhD and postdoctoral studies. So definitely when they come out and participate in some conference and then expresses and shares their wisdom, their intellect, their theory, their methodologies, then definitely it is very difficult to ignore, very difficult to ignore. So that is the power of a researcher, that is the power of a research study. Now question is, whenever we are talking about steps in research, we have to understand a couple of things in advance, and then we'll try to enter into that discussion. And in the due course of time, I'd be happy if all the participants here, my co-learners, if they also come up and open up and extends, asks me their questions, understand, their doubts, their dilemmas. Because if there is no doubt in your mind, if there is no dilemma in your mind, if there is no question in your mind, then I would consider that all of you are learned and already qualified to do a high-end research project. So there is nothing left in you to learn from me or to understand from this discussion scheduled today by is Dasgupta, no, that Center for Planning and Development. So we are here means we are here to share, express, and then understand, fill the gaps in terms of knowledge, in terms of concept, in terms of some clarity. So if this is not there, if there is no question from you, I will think that, okay, all of you know much advanced level of, research methodology. So if I can make it very clear in the very beginning, so I can definitely help myself to design my intervention in today's session. What shall I do? How much shall I do? How much shall I talk? What I should not talk? What are the things which I can tactically avoid? So that definitely I need as a co-learner, as a resource person here today with you. So I request all of you to come up with the questions, share with me. By the time I will be sharing my screen, so I'll open my PPT, whatever I prepared, because something is required. I cannot simply talk through this window spontaneously without having anything on my screen to show you, to connect, so that you can connect my oral presentation, my communication, my deliberation, and the PPT. So if this linkage is not established, learning won't happen. So that's why I prepared something which at the end of this session will be shared with Dayasankar. And if you all wish to get it, so you can request Dayasankar and he will share it to all of you by email as an attachment. So give me just a couple of seconds. Let me go to my PPT. By the time you please think about the questions you need to ask to me, you please chalk down your dilemmas, conflicts in terms of knowledge and practice, in terms of applications, approaches. So whatever doubts, all those things you please note down by this time. And then whenever I ask you, you can share one by one, and I will try to accommodate in my discussion and solve it. Just give me a couple of seconds. Dayasankar.
Yes, sir.
Where is the sharing?
Uh,
This is one arrow is there, upward arrow mark, isn't it? One upward arrow mark. So I click that and window. 1 minute.
এই যে একটা অ্যারো মার্ক আছে,
হ্যাঁ,
হাতের চিহ্নের পাশে,
হ্যাঁ,
না ওইটাই ক্লিক করলে
ওইখান থেকে তো ঠিক আছে, ঠিক আছে, দেখি। it is taking me to this window, that window
Yes.
which you have
Selection
opened.
আসলো না, ওই ট্যাবটা সিলেক্ট করো।
So there are three options: your entire screen, a window,
No.
a tab. Because this I do not use. We are using Zoom daily, regularly.
ওই
So no issue. No issue.
ট্যাব
No issue. I'll get it connected. No issue. Good. So you can see my screen, huh? Is my screen visible to all of you?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Very good. Very good. So
Yes, sir.
okay. Is it visible now? Is it visible now? Can anyone respond just to confirm?
No, sir.
Not yet, sir.
Okay, not yet. Okay, wait. Now, is it visible now?
Yes, sir.
Very
Yes,
good.
Yes, sir.
Very good. So I hope, and what I'll do, in addition to my PPT, I'll share with all of you two research papers or two important documents. So that also I'll send to Dayasankar, and Dayasankar can share with all of you. That's a must read for everybody, every researcher. So I'll refer somewhere in between, but that is with me at the end of this session. I will share with all of you, and I'll be happy if you all go through those two research papers or articles. So question is, steps in research. So is there any universal framework that these are the 11 or 12 steps to conduct a research study? So that's a very fundamental question. Is there any universal law or rule, universal standard? So these are the 11, 12 steps every researcher has to follow to do research. It is very difficult to make such kind of claims. Okay, it's very difficult to make such kind of claims. So question is, where from we shall start thinking about the steps? Because definitely the steps, the framework, definitely it will come to your mind. It comes to everybody who are doing research. What is my step 1? What is the step 2, step 3, and how to proceed, and what is my destination? So these things definitely depends on what is the purpose of research. You have to understand that, are you engaged in a type of research which is trying to establish a theory, which is trying to build a new theory, or you are trying to do a research which is trying to or aiming towards testing an existing theory? So these two are two different dimensions, or you can say two different avenues which research studies generally address, either theory building or theory testing. Now, let me tell you one thing. I share you one thing. More than 90% of research studies across the globe in the domain of PhD or doctoral studies, about 90% or more than 90% research projects belong to theory testing category of research. So they are involved in theory testing methodology or theory testing type of research. Clear? So this generally comes under quantitative research or empirical research. Quantitative research or empirical research, which involves critical statistical analysis, descriptive statistics, inferential statistics. Descriptive statistics or inferential statistics, they take the help of statistical analysis, empirical analysis to draw conclusion. Because theory testing, one of the important principle of research that you have to follow, that is generalization and conclusion. So that is also called conclusive research. So if I cannot find a perspective where with a large number of sample or with a defined sample size, and if I cannot reach a state of generalization, then I cannot claim that that particular finding will be applicable to a larger population. Unless until we do this, we cannot reach a conclusion that whether a particular theory is relevant or not relevant. Any particular principles, models, process, whether it is still relevant or not. A particular theory of motivation, theory of compensation and wage administration, theory of leadership, okay, whatever it may be, whether it is still relevant or not. So that can be established through generalizations, through empiricism. So we need empirical evidences. Clear? But when it is theory building, definitely we are not leaning towards quantitative research. We are definitely talking about qualitative research, where generalization may not be the guiding principle, where conclusiveness is not the purpose or aim of the research. We are not going to generalize the findings, clear, in qualitative research. But objective there is to understand a problem or a phenomena or any issue, be it political, social, cultural, professional, organizational, whatever it may be. Our main purpose is to draw deeper insights to understand the pattern of behavior, the pattern of thinking people are engaged with, a kind of culture which a group of people are following, living. So there, the researcher has to participate in the entire research project. When we say theory building, it's a type of research where the researcher's participation is essential component. But when it is theory testing, maybe I am doing a survey or I am doing a descriptive study, I may not be participating in the process. So by participation, I want to mean a theory, a concept which is called as etic and emic. Etic and emic, ETIC. I'll discuss it in detail in a respective slide. So etic, ETIC, and emic, EMIC. When it is etic perspective, researcher is out of the situation. Researcher may be doing the research sitting in her bedroom or drawing room, sitting in laboratory, sitting in library, sitting in department, sitting in classroom, sitting in home. Researcher can do the research. When it is theory testing, when we are conducting a survey, when we are utilizing questionnaire method, we are not engaging ourselves with the participants, that means respondents. If the researcher is not directly engaging himself or herself with the respondents, so there we can say that the researcher is not participating in the research. Clear? So theory testing, if we are engaged in theory testing, as I have said, that more than 90% of doctoral studies are mainly quantitative research, empirical research. Even more than 85%, 90% journals are there, research journals, those who accept only empirical research reports, empirical research papers. And there are a separate category of journals, those who are publishing research articles, research papers, on qualitative research, but their numbers are comparatively much less than empirical research journals or quantitative research journals. So we have to first distinguish what kind of data, what kind of research I am or we are engaged in, whether we are going to whether we are thinking about building theory or we are going to do theory testing, whether we are going to be engaged in inductive research or we are going to be engaged in deductive research. So accordingly, sorry, accordingly, the steps needs to be designed, or accordingly, the steps will evolve. You can see the steps, what kind of steps you have to follow. That particular thing will start appearing very clear to you. Okay. Then another one dimension. This particular thing I have taken from a research paper. So that research paper I will be sharing with you, and I would request all of you to read that research paper. So it has come from that. What kind of contribution you are planning through your research? Understand? Whether it is a revelatory contribution, whether it is a revelatory contribution, type 1.2, using multiple lenses. Understand? Using multiple lenses means collecting data from different sources, not one source, not only sample, not only respondents, but I am trying to use a triangulation theory. I am using different sources of data and trying to understand the phenomena through information data I have collected from different sources. Because what actually is aimed in a research study? To develop understanding, to draw insights. Clear? To reach a state where I'll have a clarity in mind through scientific process. If that is the objective and that is the goal, then is there anyone who can tell me that look, you cannot collect data from different sources? No research guide, no research supervisor can tell you this. So you have to decide as a researcher, what would be my sources of information or data? Am I going to use? Generally, what people do in most of the quantitative studies, survey research method or descriptive research method, what they do, they simply go primary data and secondary data. Primary data directly from the respondents, you collect first time. This is fresh data, you collect first time, so it is primary data. Secondary data already existing in the form of literature, already existing in the form of research reports, books, journals, newspapers, websites, and different other. Now question is, when I am doing research, when I'm thinking about my research project, what are the different sources appear in my mind? These could be the different sources where from I have to collect information for my research. Cross verification, very important. Nowadays, people are talking about mixed methodology. You know why? If you have done an empirical study, statistics may not always speak the truth. Statistics may give you a reliable findings, but statistics may fail to give you a very valid findings. Clear? So reliability and validity, there are two elements in research. We are not going to discuss that as subject today, but you must be very clear about what is their scope in research, how they need to be understood, how they need to be interpreted in a research project. So a very good statistical tool, a very good statistical analysis definitely can give me that kind of confidence that I have done something which is reliable, but that may fail to give you a very valid findings which can directly address the context, which can directly address the context. So there is a gap. And if you just honestly confess, and if you just go through different researches, their critical observations, analysis, you will find that most of those empirical studies, most of those quantitative studies will definitely have a lot of limitations and drawbacks. Clear? So question is whether I am trying to contribute something revelatory, or I am trying to contribute something consolidatory. Understand? So revelatory, there are two subtypes. One is using multiple lenses. So looking through multiple lenses, using multiple sources of data collection. And then assumption challenging problematization. Very beautiful paper, very beautiful article. All the researchers must read. What is that? The conventional method of problem definition needs to be challenged. A researcher, generally what they do, they just sit in library, go through different research papers, through different journals, and then try to establish a research gap, and from there they come out with a definition of problem. And sometimes we may miserably fail to connect that definition to our own socio-cultural milieu. Do those problem statements are connected to our social cultural context? I may be reading so many research papers published in foreign journals, or I am reading some research reports or research papers where the researches have been conducted in some foreign lands. And while I am reading through all those research studies, somehow unconsciously, subconsciously, I made a mistake, that I found a research gap, and I have taken that as a base or foundation to define my research problem for my study, which I am planning to be conducted, executed in a remote village in Birbhum, or any particular area in India. So where is the relevance? You may find an appropriate statistical tool, reliable tool, that's okay. But whether that particular study is going to give you something which is valid, no. That may miserably fail to address the life, the experience, the expectations, the situations of our societies, our communities, our groups. So question is, do we challenge the contemporary problematization process or problem definition process in Indian research institutes or Indian research initiatives? Very important question that we need to ponder and need to understand, need to explore, need to discuss, need to debate. Very important. Next one is incremental contributions. Type 2, incremental contributions. Okay, what we do that? There we try to take forward, extend the initiatives done by my predecessors. Okay, my predecessors, those who have done research before me in different institutions, in different societies. So I am also doing a particular research which will extend that knowledge thread to higher understanding level, to higher level of scientific contribution to the world of research, to the world of theory and knowledge. Incremental contributions. So whether this is my aim or whether this is the contribution I am planning, whether my title, my research project is going to be fit into this quadrant of this model, where my research idea or title fits in, that I have to map. Next one, replicatory contributions. 80% of quantitative research are replicatory in nature. This is one of the scientific. Excuse me just few seconds. আমি এখন একটা লেকচারে আছি। So, sorry, I am back. What I'm talking about here, the type 3 is replicatory contributions. This is one of the important characteristics of scientific research, that quantitative research, empirical research design, method, whatever you are utilizing, following, that must have that quality to be replicated. If it cannot be replicated, definitely there was something wrong. Definitely there was something wrong. So that is one of the scientific characteristics of research, replicatory contributions. Okay, and especially when we are using empirical study, empirical research design, quantitative research method, clear, deductive research, that is one of the very important characteristics of that particular research model. And people are generally doing it. I'm just going through, I just sit in library and go through some research papers already published. I read a couple of research theses, PhDs in libraries, and then I develop an idea of doing research for my MPhil and PhD. I am least bothered whether my research substantially contribute to the existing knowledge system, whether my research adds any value to the existing knowledge system. I don't bother, because I am doing research to get my PhD, to get my MPhil. Clear? So replicatory contributions. Clear? Somebody has applied a theory in situation A. I am trying to apply that theory in situation B. Somebody has conducted a research in an automobile industry. I am doing it in a pharmaceutical industry. Somebody has done a research in a pharmaceutical industry in Karnataka, and I am doing the same research, following the same methodology in a pharmaceutical company in Maharashtra. I get the degree, because definitely I am giving a different context, different set of data, different set of respondents, different set of different set of variables and factors. So replicatory contributions. And then type 4, consolidatory contributions. Consolidatory contributions. I am going through hundreds and hundreds of research studies done before me, and I am going through all those research studies. There is a huge data set, and I am trying to find out a deeper relationships between or among different research variables. That is meta-analysis. That is called meta-analysis. Clear? Maybe I am also engaged in collecting some data. I have also defined my sample, universe, population, everything I am doing. But at the same time, I am engaged in deep comparison with my data and the data or the findings available with earlier research studies. So what I'm doing? I'm doing a consolidation of all research studies conducted during last 15-20 years, for example, and there I am trying to understand what are the deeper relationships between among different variables those researchers have utilized for conducting different measurements in their respective studies. But for example, if you as a researcher develop interest to understand the work-life balance, of employees working in the IT sector. So work-life balance in IT sector There are hundreds and hundreds of PhD studies conducted across the globe. So even if you search in India, you will get hundreds of research studies conducted during last 15-20 years. Now, you as a researcher, you want to do a research that I want to find out, I want to do a consolidation of all those research findings, insights, and I want to go deeper to understand the critical relationships between different variables. So that will be referred as meta-analysis. So there, you as a researcher will be contributing a consolidated view of 15, 20, 30, 50, whatever may be the number, researches conducted earlier over a period of time. Now, question is, whenever we are thinking about all those different types of contributions to the existing knowledge system, either we are following an empirical method or we are following a conceptual model. So when it is a conceptual model, means you are leaning towards qualitative method. Understanding a situation by observing the pattern of life, by understanding and analyzing the narratives, verbatims people use. I want to see the people living their life, their actual habitats. I want to visit their families. I want to stay with them and see how exchanges happen inside a family relationships. That I am not going to understand by reading a book, that I am not going to understand by reading a research paper. I, as a researcher, I want to understand the life of a particular tribal community, the life of a particular group of employees working in an organization which is located somewhere, for example. So there, I must be striving for incorporating a component in my research that would be conceptual, inductive. Clear? Micro observations at the micro premises, deep observation at the micro premises, understanding the pattern of behavior, interaction, communication, performance, attitude, value systems, culture, okay, shared experience, lived experience. So I'm not trying to understand those phenomena by reading some books or journals. I am reading. As a researcher, I am reading, and I must be reading. That is one of the important role of a researcher. Reading, reviewing literature, whether it is qualitative study or quantitative study. I have to read literature, research literature. But I do not want to define a research problem by going through the views, by going through the opinions and findings of different other researchers, those who have done research previously and published their articles in different research journals. No, I do not want to do that. I want to do a cross verification, what they have done and what is existing on the ground. So there comes the question of mixed method. Generally, theoretically, principally, this is there is no disagreement among the researchers across the globe that every research begins with an exploration. Now, the percentage of exploration, the percentage of qualitative component in research, that varies. If it is a quantitative research, definitely that qualitative aspect or exploration is restricted to a very limited percentage. But when it is a qualitative research or mixed method research, definitely the inductive approach, which is used in research study, that goes beyond a proportion in terms of percentage and contribution to that research study. So first, as a researcher, this is our responsibility to understand what kind of research I am going to do. Actually, through my topic, what kind of research it is going to be. Is it a theory building or theory testing? Is it an empirical or is it going to be a conceptual? that I have to understand and then find out which quadrant you belong to, what kind of contributions you are going to make. And then comes the question of your preparedness, how much you are prepared in terms of performing your research. So definitely you will choose a topic that interests you. You have to choose a topic that interests you. You should not do research in an area or with a topic which is foreign to you, which does not match with your level of knowledge, understanding, competency, and skill. The subject, the topic in which I feel confident, which interests me a lot, in which I find my passion, definitely I should go with that topic or title. Ask yourself whether you can answer the research question. Very important. So before entering into step, when these preparatory jobs you do, when these preparatory activities you do, then you don't require anybody to tell you what would be the steps in your research. You can see it, you can visualize it, and you can jot down the steps one by one, that first I need to do this, second I need to do this, and third I have to do this, and fourth I must do that. You don't require anybody else to tell you the steps of your research. If you are very clear about these few elements, ask yourself whether you can answer the research question. Read a lot, read thoroughly and appropriately. What is appropriately? What is appropriately? Read each and every element. What were the research questions in that particular research? What research approach the researchers have used? What methodology they have used? What variables they had taken? What statistical analysis they administered? So a research paper, when as a researcher you read, you must read thoroughly and appropriately. Identify your strengths and weaknesses. Sir, I am not good in statistics, but I can get the help of a qualified statistician, a member of my family, or a very close, closely connected to me. Definitely that time you can have, that is your confidence level, that okay, I know someone who can honestly, sincerely help me in doing my research or designing my statistical calculations or analysis for me. So that you have to map very clearly before you enter into a research study, your strengths, your weaknesses, your interests, your personal development opportunities. What for you are doing this research? Are you trying to develop your teaching skill? Are you trying to develop your research skill? Are you trying to develop your consultancy skill? What else you are asking for? What else you are looking for through this research project? No, sir, I am just going to get my PhD. So I do not know, because I cannot address this kind of questions, because if somebody tells me that I have no interest, but only I am going for PhD just to ensure my job. So see, I may not have a satisfactory answer to those people. But I hope definitely those who are sitting here, they do not fall in that kind of category. So you have to map this strength, your weaknesses, your interest, your personal development opportunities. Sir, I want to establish myself as an academician. I want to establish myself as a researcher. I want to go for a consultancy job. Yes. So that will definitely expect and demand some special attention from you as a researcher. Then don't pre-commit to an idea. The precaution. Never pre-commit to an idea, to one idea. You got an idea, just you liked it and then you hang on it. Don't do that. Any one idea, any particular approach, any particular design, any particular data source. A lot of people will be there to be talking to you so many things. This is going to be very easy. You can get data very easily. You can use this design. Please do that. Don't jump into that kind of assurances when you do not know whether those people will come across, when people will be available when you are in a dilemma or in a difficulty. So listen to advices, but make your own choices. Okay? Listen to so many people, no problem. But you need to be very confident. You need to be very clear about your preparedness, your interest level, your confidence, your strength. So then after those questions, when those questions are answered, and then you come here and then do a small checklist analysis and check your stage of planning where you stand. Okay, do you have the requirements for your dissertation project? What kind of requirements? So there is some mistake in terms of typographic error, so I am extremely sorry. I'll correct it and then send to you. So what are the requirements for your dissertation project? What are the requirements? Are you doing it for your dissertation? What requirements you have to fulfill? Clear? Have you got some money from some funding organization and then you have to do a research and satisfy certain kind of expectation of that funding agency? If it is a government sponsored research project, you have taken money from social justice and empowerment. So that particular ministry grant will definitely expect you to highlight certain critical elements which are very closely related to the ministry activities and policy area. So you have to be very clear about, understand? Then think about whether you are doing a doctoral study or MPhil. So have you found your supervisor? Could you find out a suitable person who will definitely help you, guide you, supervise you, your work? This is a very important question in research. You should not associate yourself with someone unknown to you. You are going with some reference, somebody is referring you, please go there. He or she is my friend and he or she will help you. Talk to them. Sit with them. Have couple of round of discussions with them to understand what kind of personalities they are, what is the level of genuineness they have, whether they are really willing to guide you and help you, or they are giving you a commitment based on the person who referred you to him or her. Please be very careful when you are selecting your supervisor. Do you have enough time for planning, doing, and writing up your research project? Very important. No, sir, I have sufficient time, and definitely I can draw a very elaborate experience through my research project. So you can have a different choice in terms of steps, in terms of designing the steps. Do you have a clear timetable? Have you got sufficient resource support? Have you formulated some research questions and discussed with your guide? Are you familiar with review of literature and data analysis software? So these are the kind of requirements you need to have. Okay? And then again, before entering into the defined steps for your research project, you must begin research review of literature. Whether it is qualitative research or quantitative research, empirical research, review is a must. Somebody sometimes come to me and say, we sometimes come across this kind of situation where a scholar comes and tells, sir, we are not getting adequate number of literature, adequate amount of literature in the domain in which I am doing I am planning my research project. Sometimes it may happen. So that also I'll tell you. There is a beautiful concept I'll tell you. Here itself, I'll tell you. When you are doing research, it does not mean that everything, all published material will be very close to your research area. There is no such guarantee that I am doing review literature. So whatever Whatever I am doing, I will be definitely getting some relevant material. This guarantee is not there. Clear? So you have to be mentally prepared that whatever study I am going to do, whether I am going to get sufficient literature or not. If I do not get sufficient literature, then I may think other alternative. Then I may think that, okay, then I am not comfortable to go into qualitative research method. I am not expert in that. I have not studied well. So I'll go for another alternative, and I may go for quantitative study or empirical study or survey research design or descriptive research study. I may drop my idea of entering into qualitative research. Important. Clear? And this literature review, remember why I am telling this in the very beginning, because this is not an one-time activity. Sir, I have written my review of literature. I have established the gaps. Shall I continue review again? Yes, my dear. You are a researcher. You have to continue review, because the research you are doing, so many other researchers across the globe, they also may be doing in the same or related area. So please keep yourself abreast with the world of research, with the world of published research literature. Continuously track what is happening. And in the due course of your research project, you may require, because something has come out very powerfully in terms of contribution in the knowledge system, and then you are also planning to do something related like that, and then somebody already has done, you had a plan to make revelatory contribution. Now you see somebody already have done. So if you are going with the same idea, then it is going to be a repetitive contribution. Quadrant 3, you are thinking to contribute something from quadrant 1, but ultimately somebody already has done, because you have come to know, because you are continuously tracking the research literature, and you have come to know somebody already has done this research. Now you are no more in a position to contribute something revelatory. Already somebody has done. So you are simply replicating what others have done. See, like innovation and technology, the world of research equally disruptive. We sometimes think that, okay, I am doing research in social science and my research is going on 7 years, 10 years, PhD not completed. I am 7th year, sir, I could not complete my PhD. You be very careful. Many research studies must have been published just immediately past, which already have done your research, and you are just replicating. Clear? This is just like registration of a patent. You are working on a patent and you come to know a similar thing has been published by somebody and got the patent in his own right, in his own name. So your research has been lost. Last 5, 6, 7 years, you are continuously working, putting a lot of money in developing a prototype of a product, and you suddenly come to know that someone else from some other country has got that intellectual capital rights. You lost the battle. In social science research, in psychology research, in management research, these things equally happen. So if I am planning to do a research, I have to follow timetable, I have to follow a calendar, and I have to be very much responsive, very sincere, and committed, so that I can complete it by the stipulated time period. By 3 years, I must complete my PhD study, maximum 4 years. And in the meantime, I should continuously monitor what kind of researches are being done across the globe. Clear? Now see what happens when we do review literature. Okay, sometimes you will find there is a synthesized coherence. Means what? Lot of literature is there, lot of things have been done, but they are not related to my work. Seems to be similar, but they are not related to my work. lot of people have done work in job performance and motivation, job performance and motivation, job performance and motivation. I am doing a research on job satisfaction and job performance, job satisfaction and job performance, but I am not getting unrelated work. Somebody has done job motivation and job performance. I can see a lot of research studies, but I'm not finding any research on my area where people have done earlier something on job satisfaction and job performance. So unrelated, but that synthesis also can create some level of confidence in terms of review, can justify your research plan. You can claim that this is the scenario. Lot of things have been done, but in that area, not in my area. So a lot of things to be done in the area which I am pursuing to conduct my research. Understand? So synthesized coherence. Next is progressive coherence. Progressive coherence. A lot of people have done related area, but they have given different contributions. Somebody is telling, no, education is responsible for poverty. Somebody is telling, no, culture is responsible for poverty. Somebody is telling, no, health is responsible for poverty. Somebody is telling, no, it is because of climatic condition, people are forced to be poor. Everybody is working on, everybody has done research on the poverty, but different researchers have given different kind of inputs. Their findings are different, but they are all talking about poverty. Can you find out some considerable consensus there? That yes, sir, health and education are related. Education and climate is related. Health and climate, there is a relationship, but those aspects are not being addressed by earlier researcher. So there is a serious gap. So you can establish a progressive coherence if the literature, type of literature is of that kind. Either it is national or it is a foreign source, domestic or foreign. That is really is immaterial. So you can categorize them. So this is the scenario in foreign studies, and this is the scenario in domestic studies. They have done, all of them have done, most of them have done on poverty as a subject, but their findings are different. Somebody established relationship with education, somebody established the level of income, health, climatic conditions, then location. Somebody's this kind of findings also we find that people living in a remote area, the remotest the area is, the poorest the people are. Yes, the remotest the area is, the poorest the people are. Oh, beautiful. But sir, my research is different. I want to see a relationship between education and health, climate and health. Understand? So I can draw some kind of progressive coherence and establish that, okay, those have been different in terms of their findings, but there has been a consensus. There has been a consensus that some factors external are responsible for poverty as a problem. Some sort of coherence, some sort of consensus is there. So I pick up that and then I move forward and start my doing literature review. And then non-coherence, considerable disagreement. So there are people talking, no, if it is automobile, motivation and productivity is linked. If it is pharmaceutical, then motivation and productivity are not linked to each other. Sir, people are telling differently. The correlation differs in different organizations to same variables, motivation and job performance. But it is varying, the relationship varying in different organizations. Is it? Yes, sir. So what is the reliability of that motivation theory? How that theory is reliable, sir? It shows different results in different types of organizations. It shows different results in different types of business operations. Very good. So there is a considerable disagreement among researchers. You just bank on it. That becomes your base or foundation for review literature. and you gain confidence to move forward. Now I stop here, and then 1 minute, I want to ask some question now. Definitely I need some 5-10 minutes question answer session on whatever I have done so far. Then I'll move forward, because there is no sound, pin drop silence. I do not know whether everybody is sleeping or not.
Sir, may I ask a question?
Yes, Tista.
Sir, I am a PhD student from Calcutta University. My discipline is economics.
Okay.
And I am working on the institutional economics. So the broad field is
Institutional?
economics.
Okay.
So essentially, I am in my empirical part. I am making a paper where I want to understand the impact of patrilocal setup on women's status. So I am using a cross-sectional data set. And since my variable is institutional, I mean it's a gender norm. So
can you please give me an example? What do you mean by institutional?
Institution means the cultural norms or the discriminatory law, etc. So essentially, institutional economics involves the norms and legal parameters.
Okay.
So the cultural norms are very durable. So they don't change very quickly. So what are the problems that I will face? The immediate problem I will face is the cross-sectional nature of data. So can you tell me that the difference in the limitations in cross-section and panel data set? So which would be reliable to use in this research project?
See, Tista is a very good question, and I appreciate that you have put forward this kind of question. So, institutional economics, so you will find a lot of theories are there. You will find a lot of theories, because I do not belong to your domain. So, I may not be able to give you direct answer in terms of your domain knowledge, but I can give you an idea that definitely you are reviewing different institutional economics theories, and theories might be 100 years old, 70 years old, 50 years old. That is natural. Now, are you just going through some research papers published 10 years, 15 years, 20 years back? That means I'm talking to you about pre-COVID situation. Okay, pre-COVID, because now COVID has brought a lot of disruptions in the, in social constructs, social attitude, perceptions, considerations. A lot of things have been changed because of disruption due to COVID. Now, you as a researcher, you are taking up 5-6 theories on institutional economics, and then you want to validate their relevance in today's institutions. So if you simply go and do a kind of survey research or descriptive research, it may not give you a valid findings. You may do a very good research which is reliable in terms of its parameters, in terms of measurement, in terms of definitions, operational definitions and everything, but it may not give you a kind of valid findings which can address the ground realities in your institution, in a particular institution where you are doing the research. So what is to be done? You explore, engage with the people, and you may do a kind of narrative study first, engaging with people, understanding the context from their verbatims, from their explanations, from their descriptions, from their words, from their emotions. And then you can find out a link between those emotions, those expressions, and the performance of the organization, economic performance of that organization. If you find that, yes, there is a lot of downturn in terms of mood, in terms of perception, in terms of motivation, in terms of attitude, in terms of satisfaction, there are a lot of downturn in terms of these personal attributes or individual attributes. And so you can find that you can apply the heuristic method that okay, because of this the performance is going down. But it may not be true. But you have sufficient ground, if you have solid ground to build your theory. You can build your theory. So these are the observations. Repeatedly, I am doing the observations. I talk to 50, 60, 70 employees. And this is the kind of perception, this is the kind of pattern I could see. So there is a link between the downturn in terms of mood of people, motivation of people, their job motivation, their job satisfaction, morale, and the performance of the institution in terms of economics. So I can find a relationship. So I can establish an assumption. Then I go forward further and then do some further review literature and then find out whether I can get something which is coherent, non-coherent, or synthesized content, and then I can build my theory. And I can move forward. So it could be a beautiful study if you apply a mixed methodology. First part, a qualitative research, developing assumptions, then going further, and then taking a large number of sample, and then doing empirical study, and then drawing a conclusion, and reaching a state of observation that particular institutional economic theory is found to be relevant in today's world. Tista, could I answer your question? I do not know.
Yes, thank you, sir.
So talk to your guide. Definitely you will be having your doing from Calcutta University. Means I do not know the name, but definitely there will be stalwarts in the economics department. So you are lucky. So engage deeply with your supervisor and discuss these matters and decide what kind of contribution you are going to make. That 4-quadrant model I have shown, what kind of contribution you are aiming. Okay. Anybody else?
Sir, Shelly here.
Yes, Sally, tell me.
As a background, my name is Shelly. I did my master's from TISS, and for the last 20 years or so, mostly engaged in health policy research, evaluation research. So this is the background. Now I plan to do a PhD from. So for that, I was wondering, as because I have been working in the area of public health and community health for a few years, and I have seen community accountability or social accountability has in many areas improved the health system outcome implementation. For example, Ashas are there in rural areas. There is a community health worker in the villages.
Yeah.
So they help in the ICDS work and all. So in social accountability, or they have made a village health committee. Village health committee overlooks whether the ASHAs, the ANMs, the various health workers that are there at the village level are coming on time, giving immunization and all or not. So I have seen in villages where this committee is there, which is a village health committee made of panchayat members, community leaders and all. So there the services are better. And also they are involved in planning, like the committee is involved in planning, budgeting and all. So I was thinking if, to understand the impact of the social accountability component in social service programs, be it education or health or whatever, vis-a-vis areas where that component is not there, like social accountability component is not in all the health government programs. So there is not much literature in that sense. So first of all, whether is it a feasible kind of an option? Secondly, there are how to measure the impact. There are few literature papers are there. You can see the outcome. You can do a quantitative, what are the people's perception. So those are the 2-3 ways how you can measure that impact of social impact. Like you take a control case control kind of a thing and see where the villages health committees are there. But so will there be a hypothesis, like can we say that areas which have a VHSC, like Village Health and Sanitation Committee, the improvement in or the outcomes will be better vis-a-vis the areas where it is not there? Because there are a lot of confounding factors are also there. Like it also depends upon the officials, government official over there, how receptive he is. Because in this community accountability, one thing is happened called a public Jan Sanvad or Jan Sahyog, where the officials also come and the community villagers also come and they have a dialogue. कि ये
Right.
नहीं होता है, आप गांव में डॉक्टर नहीं आते हैं वगैरह वगैरह. So if some people take it very personally, then there is a confrontation. But if it is taken as a feedback, so it also depends upon the attitude and the kind of officials which are there. So do you think this is will it be a feasible option? Will it improve the knowledge of that area? So
But here, Sally, if anything you have to add with this, your question, you can continue.
is there a theory which I should be formulating for testing, like kind of a hypothesis, or it will be an exploratory kind of thing where I don't need it? So these are all queries I have. So.
Right. So very good, Sally. Very good, and I can understand your level of research competency through your interpretation and explanation of your research problem or idea. It is wonderful. I appreciate.
Thank you.
See, this kind of subject, no, you should not do survey. You should not use questionnaire.
Yes.
Because
yeah.
When you should go with some research questions, and because it is very difficult to give you a kind of research solution now being on this particular platform or this particular screen. But what I would suggest you, please engage with people and have some kind of informal interactions to understand their perception, their construct about social accountability.
Okay.
What is their construct? Because this is the construct we design, we define.
Yes.
And we try to measure.
Yes.
And then there is no map between what they do and what we expect.
Yes.
So sit with them, try to understand what is their concept or construct in terms of social accountability, particularly. And then see how do they define their commitment and all those parameters. Okay, from their narratives. And then you have to design. This is I can see this is a beautiful topic for action research.
Yeah.
First round, definitely you do action research, and then you come out with a kind of construct through people's narratives or people's verbatim.
Yes, sir.
And that is to be incorporated in the research project or the program, whatever an institution is going to implement in this community. Then projects and programs will be effective for our people.
Yes.
Because we hardly take care of these issues. So our researches in this kind of subject matters, our researches are not at all inclusive. To make research inclusive, it is to be participatory, and that people should be part of your research thinking process and research execution process.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, Sally. Thank you. I wish you all the best. It's a very beautiful research.
Thank you, sir.
I would definitely appreciate that you please go ahead with this plan and do something good. It will be a very valuable contribution to the field of policy research.
Thank you, sir. And I'll be in touch with you, sir.
Definitely, I am there.
Okay, sir.
Anybody else? Tanushree, Payal. There are so many people. One group I can see there are 12 members. Power. No confusion, no question, no dilemma.
Hello, sir.
Yes, Subhamoy Kundu.
Yes, sir. Myself,
please.
Subhamoy Kundu. Sir, I am doing my PhD on migration. Sir, my topic is that causes and consequence and the social condition of out-migration. So, sir, my problem is that can I use both methodology, qualitative and quantitative?
No, first you tell me the context of your research, because in migration, out migration, I understood. But what is the context of your research? Why you are doing this? What do you want to see? What do you want to investigate? What do you want to understand?
I understand that I am collecting some data in quantitative manner, but I think that can I do qualitative also?
Definitely, this is a subject I would say, Subhamay,
Yes,
I would strongly recommend. See, basic difference between qualitative and quantitative study. Just I am telling you very, very briefly for everybody. When it is a quantitative research, my goal is known to me, my objectives are known to me, my statistics are known to me, questions are put in questionnaire with alternative answer. I do everything, everything is known to me. Is it fair? Your study is going to be reliable but not valid. The findings may not give you a solution to address the actual problems of the migrants. So first, we have to understand. First, you have to understand. You have to do. I have to understand the problem by listening to their life experience. Hardly any researcher is participating, engaging with the migrant laborers to understand their life experience, their problems, their context. We as a researcher go from outside with some knowledge acquired through some research papers, some books, and we try to fit into those knowledge, we try to fit into a frame where those people are not contextual. Those people are foreign. Because it is our problem, our frame, but we show a target group and do a research. The findings may be reliable in terms of statistical relevance and all, but they may not be valid in terms of addressing the actual problem of those migrants. So this is a research study. You must engage in narrative study first, or kind of ethnographic study. You should live with a group of migrants and do understand their culture, their pains, their sufferings, their life. And then I think you can come out with some strong assumptions, hypotheses, and then you can take large number of migrants, laborer as your target population, and then draw sample, and then go for empirical research. Then that generalization will have a very solid impact on transforming the life of migrant laborers. Otherwise, whatever we are doing, no, these are all researches going on. Somebody is getting PhD, somebody is getting MPhil, but migrants' lives remain unchanged. You cannot transform their life with the findings of your research, because of what? Connectivity is not there. You have done a reliable research, but the findings not valid, which can address their life situation. So am I.
Yes, sir. I can understand.
So if it is not an advanced stage of research, if you are just thinking and beginning, please do a qualitative research in the beginning. You go for a mixed method.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yes, Subhamay. Any other person? Shall I continue then my next part? Dayasankar. So I think others do not like me that way, so they are not interacting with me.
No, sir, that's not.
I'm making fun. I'm just trying to make the situation a little bit lighter, so that no one should have a kind of hesitation and fear in mind.
No, sir, I want to just share something. In an earlier workshop, I have that opportunity to attend your class, and Doyada gave me the opportunity to make a report on your class.
Okay.
So through that, I learned many things, sir. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Payal. So then let me complete the remaining portion where I'll have to discuss about the steps particularly. So then after that, we'll again have one more round of question answer session. Okay. Yes. So problem, very quickly, and then I'll. Is it visible to everybody? So I do not know whether Payal has.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Payal
It is
remembers
visible.
the particular slide.
Yes, sir.
I might have used during my last presentation also here. See, problem, if I am not seriously doing review of literature, then without doing it seriously, if I am taking care of or I am going through different other steps of research, then one day that entire process kingdom or step kingdom may collapse. You understand what do I mean by steps kingdom? 11 steps, 12 steps you are going through, but your basic work, that is your literature review, remain poor, inadequate. So all those steps and energy, resource, everything will go to waste. It will collapse. So we should not do that. So we have to ensure that we are on right track in terms of review of literature. Problem, where lies the problem? I tell you here. If my literature or the content, whatever I am looking for, whatever I am accessing, if those content, those studies do not address my research context, my social context, so they do not have any pratyaksha sampark, they do not have any pratyaksha relationship. So they are apratyaksha. This is from Nyaya Sutra, Indian Nyaya Sutra. The Nyaya Sutras are the greatest literature in terms of understanding scientific inquiry, which we call research method in today's world. Our Nyaya Sutras are so rich in terms of their approach, their methodology. It is a splendid theoretical foundation given to us by our ancestors. So, pratyaksha, it should be very much connected to our context. If it is not connected, you do the review. Nobody is asking you, don't do review. But you have to think about in which category of analysis it should fall in review literature. Clear? So that I have given you 3 different types. So in which category it falls in, you find out and then accordingly move forward very carefully. You should not do it with agyana or misappreciation. I have to do review, that's why I am doing review. That's not the rational, that's not the logic. I should be in a state of awareness. I should remain fully awakened what I am doing, whether I am doing justice to it or not. I should not do research with a misappreciation, or which we call in Indian literature or Indian terminology, that is agyana. If I am doing review with agyana, it will create a lot of dosha in my analysis, distorted views. And then if I go on doing my activity, research karma, and then I have to suffer. My thesis will be rejected. My thesis will have a very blunt reaction by the reviewers. Then I will have a lot of anxieties, frustration. Then I'll give up doing research after 6-7 years of sincere effort. Very, very careful we need to be when we are doing review of literature. So be very careful whether it is a foreign literature. Sir, it is a foreign literature, but the literature talks about a research which was conducted in America on a group of Gujarati people. The Gujarati people continuing their culture in American soil. Somebody from some university has conducted a research on Gujarati culture, a group of people living in America. And I am doing a research on a group of people, Gujarati people living in Gujarat. That is not a very distant related context. Little bit it may differ in terms of socio-cultural milieu, but most of the other characteristics and aspects will be very much similar. So that kind of literature will give me a deeper insight, different types of insight, the considerations of Gujarati culture, in a foreign soil, and living that culture in their home country, living that culture in home country, living that culture in host country. How do they differ? Where they are similar, where they are different? Beautiful. So there the literature review will have a very defined purpose. I have to be very careful what kind of literature I am looking for, what kind of literature I am reviewing. Do they relate to my context? If it is relating to my context, what is the percentage of similarity? 10%, 20%, 50%, 80%, or 100%? That is very important. So that is your cognitive skill. That there is no book, there is no specified guidelines given, published in any book or articles. That is especially your wisdom and your cognitive capability to take a call. Next. So this is I think there are two I have already discussed. There are so many different things I have already discussed, so I am not coming here. If you are doing, because if you have decided in the beginning whether it is an inductive study or deductive study or a combo, okay, if you have decided, so you can understand, you can find out yourself that where you stand, whether you are doing a quantitative research or qualitative research, or you are going to follow a mixed methodology. If it is a survey, the left hand side I have written all those address, survey research, empirical research, quantitative study. On the right side, it is about qualitative study, that is critical inquiry, theory formulation, participatory research, interaction, dialectical, problem defined. Understand? These two different schools of thought, you can say, or two different broad categories of research, qualitative and quantitative. So you need to be very clear what kind of study you are going to do. If it is a survey research, there are 12 steps, sir. I know, sir, there are 12 steps. If it is a qualitative research, sir, I can have a mental map. I know these are the steps I have to go through, but it is not just, what should I say, an appropriate word? It is not just a directional to one side. It may be sometimes regressive. I may come back and review my last step, and then again I go forward. Understand? But when it is a survey research, it is mostly linear in terms of arrangement of steps, and it is clearly directional because there is a goal, and survey research is based on a set of objectives. Objectives are framed, problem is known, variables are known to me, statistics are known to me, goal is known to me, what I am going to do. So there I may have, or generally we have, a defined steps, step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. But when it is a qualitative research, I cannot prescribe to my scholar are very defined steps to undertake a qualitative study. Because a qualitative study, understand, a qualitative study is not unidirectional, but a survey research is unidirectional. A qualitative research is not unidirectional, multidirectional. वो थोड़ा सामने जाएगा, फिर again come back to the last stage. I have to do again redo. And it happens in ethnography, it happens in ontology, it happens rampant. It is so critical, so in-depth. So that particular thing, you need to do a self-study to understand two different contexts, and then go forward and think about the steps of your research. I said very clearly, if it is a survey research, descriptive research, empirical study, quantitative research, there are defined steps. But if it is a qualitative research, exploratory research design, then I cannot give you guarantee that there is a defined framework, unitary directional framework, which you can follow in your qualitative research. It is not there. The method, the steps, everything in qualitative research, that evolves throughout the process of your intervention. It evolves. You forward, you have some advancement in terms of your research process, again, you need to come back and revisit your last step. But definitely as a researcher, since you are doing something scientific, you must have a mental map. So that is different. Now, these are the different steps in typically the steps followed in survey research, quantitative research, empirical research, descriptive research. Okay, is that point clear? So these steps are meant to address the requirements in survey research, descriptive research, quantitative research, empirical research. There are 17 steps. There are 17 steps. You can count. Decide the topic or area. Review of literature. Literature or theories relating to topic. So review of literature will start here, but it will continue till the end of your research. Clear? Is that point clear to everybody? That review begins and does not end till still I submit my thesis. This point is clear to everybody? I need 1 or 2 response. That's why I need.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir. Yes, sir.
So review literature does not end with this part completion. It continues. Formulate research questions. Then comes the formulate research questions. Here you have to think about what you are going to do. Are you going to, what kind of tools you are going to use? Okay, to formulate research questions. If the problem is not known, I cannot frame research objectives. When a researcher can frame objectives, problem is known to the researcher because the goal is also known to me. But when the problem is not known, variables are not clearly known to me, I will definitely go with some research questions. Think again, next step. If survey is appropriate to you, need to follow. If survey is appropriate, or you need to follow alternative method. Yeah, very good. Survey or empirical study or descriptive research, whatever. Or, no sir, this is not going to fit into my problem frame. I cannot do it by survey because problem is still not known to me, sir. So I have to think an alternative. So the situation is calling for qualitative research intervention. The situation is not calling for a survey research. Clear? Then decide the population, target group, sample and sampling frame. Sampling frame means what? Sampling frame means what? The representation of respondents, representation of the population in the research study through sample in terms of age, in terms of educational background, in terms of gender, in terms of marital status. Am I going to compare the status of people in terms of gender, in terms of income group, in terms of education, in terms of choice of occupation? You have to understand. Decide sample means कितना लेना है मुझे, कितना लेना है, 10%, 20%. So whatever comes out by applying some kind of statistical formula, that is there, I decide. And then sampling frame, sir, I am going to compare in terms of gender, in terms of age, in terms of education, in terms of occupation, in terms of, so many factors. So I have to take care so that I draw adequate number of sample proportionately or disproportionately to satisfy all those variable or criteria. So I have to decide the frame of my sample. Okay. Then decide the mode of intervention. Are you going to conduct face-to-face interview? If it is a research question, if I don't have research objectives, if I don't know the research variables, then I cannot construct a questionnaire. Questionnaire mostly includes closed questions. A questionnaire is used when answers are given on it. This is the theory, this is a conceptual framework I am telling. This is the theory I am sharing with you. What is the difference between a questionnaire and an interview schedule? Sir, questionnaire is self-administered. Yes, good, right answer. If I am framing a questionnaire, I can hand over to my respondent and respondent can comfortably fill it because answers given. He or she does not require my intervention, my explanation. Self-administered. Answers are given. In questionnaire, mostly the questions are closed-ended questions. So I can have a mix. I can give 1 or 2 open questions. That is okay. Nothing. There is no harm and there is no crime in it. You can do this. So what is your objective of research? What is your purpose of research? What you are going to do? How you are going to do the interpretations and discussions? So that is okay. If as per your plan you can do. But when it is interview schedule, the number of closed questions be very, very minimal. But the majority of the questions in interview schedule are open-ended questions. That's why I participate, and I as a researcher, investigator, I conduct the interviews. Understand, not only to record their opinions and views, but I participate to understand their emotions, their mood change, swing of mood. I need to understand the interpersonal chemistry in the home, in the community, the relationships. There are many other things which I need to see, observe, along with interview. So I use an interview schedule. I sit with, I engage myself. So what is going to be the mode of intervention? Or I am going to use an email, Google form, Survey Monkey, whatever. So that you have to think. So it is not that I am doing a qualitative research. I have seen such kind of research thesis. Surprising how these kind of theses are submitted to university. They're doing qualitative research, but they're using questionnaire. A questionnaire can never be used in a qualitative research. The qualitative research, researchers' participation is a must. You cannot send a questionnaire by mail because questionnaire cannot be used, ruled out in qualitative research. You have to observe, you have to interact, you have to interview. EMIC study, EMIC study, where your presence is important. Clear? Next, develop questions. I told you already, closed and open. The 17, I should have written the last slide. By mistake, I have written here. No issue. The 17 must be mentioned in the last slide. There are 17 steps. Review questions and assess face validity. Understand? Review questions. What is validity? What is validity? Whether my question can extract the exact answer. Okay. Understand? Important. I just want to know what are the different fruits community people consume. What are the different fruits, natural fruits people consume. But my question framed such a way that people are responding that I use apple juice, I use orange juice, I consume, I like maza. Is the question valid? The question is not valid because the question cannot ensure the right answer. I want to understand the what kind of fruits, natural fruits people like to eat. But my question was framed such a way that people understood that I am asking what are the different fruit juice they like. And they are giving answer. You cannot justify, sir, mango they like, so mango juice they like. They like orange, so they are buying orange juice. May not be. I cannot decide the validity. So the answer I want to get, the answer I am looking for the information I am looking for, whether my question can retrieve that same information or data. If it is able to do that, it is a valid question. If not, it is not valid question. So that you have to test after you frame the questions. Then do a pilot survey. See how people are reacting to it. Then you bring necessary revisions in the questions. Then finalize your questionnaire or interview schedule. Then you administer the tool to selected samples. If it is interview, you conduct interview. If it is questionnaire, you distribute the questionnaire, online, offline, whatever, by post, by mail. Then whatever information you are receiving through filled in questionnaire or filled in interview schedule with you, you have to code, and then you have to shift, transfer data from your papers to computer, Excel sheet, or you can directly use SPSS or whatever platform you are planning to do, you can do. Then you have to analyze the data with appropriate statistics. And analyze. If you have some research objectives, if you have taken some hypothesis, then you are doing analysis. Because it is survey research, definitely some descriptive statistics will be there. You are doing. But if it is a qualitative research, no statistical analysis appear. No statistical analysis appear. Clear? Some exceptional situations may be there. I am not going into that because I am taking 30 interviews. For example, I am doing 30 interviews. I am conducting 29 sample interviews. Each sample, because the research is critical. One of my PhD scholars, she registered, and then after that, she developed certain personal problems in her life, family, so she discontinued. But she was doing a research, beautiful research, a kind of pioneering research with the life of survivors, those who have gone through a bad phase of life. That is called mobile stalking. People stalk mobile. People follow somebody, people harass, and then through MMS, through so many things. So those kind of victims. So she was doing a research on their life. So unfortunately, I could not do it because she had some problem in family and she discontinued. So it's a purely personal issue. So we have to accept the situation, whatever it might be. So there, what I can do, can I analyze data? 29 samples, for example, I am taking. So I may require data analysis at the later stage, not in the beginning. I may, because I can use even correlation, t-test, I can do. But it is exclusively that decision to be taken if it is appropriate. If it is not appropriate, you cannot use statistical analysis. Then you interpret the findings, because I am talking about steps in survey research, empirical research, descriptive research. Interpret findings and consider implications of findings for research questions. Okay. If it is research questions, then you see, justify how far you have been able to satisfy the research questions. So this is a frame I have given to you. This is a frame I have given to you, means I am reading books. So there are so many books. So I was reading because I love a couple of books. So one book is there, that is Business Research Method, 3rd edition by Alan Bryman and Emma Bell. Okay. Online Resource Center, Oxford publication. So that book I was reading, and then I found these particular steps, and it was impressive for me, and then so I shared with you. This is not something which I have created. This is something which I have read in books and I am sharing with you. Another book I like very much in business research, because I am teaching in business management now, so mostly I use these kind of research books. I am a social science researcher, but still these are the books which I have to use most. Donald R. Cooper and Pamela Sindler, that is 9th edition, Business Research Methods. It has come out with his 12th edition now, or 13th edition in market. That is a good book. So these are the steps. Definitely you will find in different conventional research books, this kind of books, business research methods, management research methods, social science research methods, you will get it in general in different books. But in qualitative research, this framework you can keep in your mind. But I told you very clearly that in qualitative research, the steps are not unidirectional. That's 1, then 2, then 3, then 4. Such kind of unidirectional, defined, compartmental steps, process generally does not happen in qualitative research. So if you read some articles on action research, there you will understand how the action research cycles repeat. Cycle 1, understanding, findings, re-verification. Again, they enter into cycle 2, same process. Then they verify the findings from the last cycle. Then again, after having the second cycle, what are the findings? Is there any difference between the findings between second cycle and first cycle? Yes, still there are differences. Let us go for another one cycle, third cycle, and then do a comprehensive analysis, the findings from last 3 cycles. So that way we draw some kind of insights. So we can draw some kind of conclusions in qualitative research. Clear? So I would like to stop here. I am not going further. There are so many other materials in the PPT, so not required now. So now, if there is any question on the steps, then you can ask me. So I can, if somebody has any question on qualitative research, again you can ask me. I'll tell you the steps. What could be the steps to follow and proceed. But if it is a survey research, descriptive research, as I told, this is the frame you can follow. That will take you to your destination.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Daya.
So any question from the participants? Any question, any clarification, any addition, any modification? If yes, please continue.
Even if somebody,
Yes, please.
even if someone wants, can modify me also. Sir, this is something you talked not correct, and I can correct you there. I welcome such kind of intervention also from the participants. Anyone?
Yes, Subhamoy, please go ahead.
Please mention the state quality.
Not audible. Subhamoy, you are not audible, bhai.
Am I audible, sir?
No, your voice is cutting in between. It is cutting. It is not consistent.
Hello.
Now it is
Sir, am I audible?
clear.
Sir, please mention the steps of quality research.
You need to know the qualitative research steps. Yeah. So if I am telling you that in quantitative research, that you define your research title. First to understand what title means, what kind of study you are going to do. Okay. So I want to see a kind of job satisfaction and job performance, how far they are related to each other. I want to see how far knowledge, attitude, and skill are interrelated to create a kind of job behavior for a group of employees. So this is what I'm thinking about. This is my interest area. In survey, in descriptive research, in quantitative research, mostly we are ready with a problem statement and then we go and do the research. But in qualitative research, see, I tell you one thing, a very beautiful example I'm giving you. Did the crisis due to COVID has transformed or impacted the marital relationships? Important topic. People are staying in home and working from home. Don't think people are living very peacefully. Out of the box, I'm telling. Those who are staying at home and working from home, a lot of problem. A marital life goes happily when the husband or wife, any of the spouses, stay outside home for 10 to 12 hours a day in the name of profession, in the name of occupation. If you stay continuously, how does it impact your marital relationship? So COVID forced people to stay at home. And then how does it impact, or how did it impact the marital relationship? Can you find out a research literature, research paper, or some book where you can get some idea? This is unexplored. This is not explored. So what we will do, Subhamoy, if you are doing a qualitative research here, what is the process? Try to understand the life experience, the lived experience of people. So I'll be engaging with them. Narrative study. I have no questions, nothing I have in my mind now. I'm a researcher, I have a research mind, and I am engaging myself with that kind of families. I'm going to a community and interacting with those families. Try to understand.
Yes, sir.
Maybe many things, maybe they are not exposing to you. They are also very cautious. Why should we expose our personal problem to this outsider? Difficult. So, but you're trying, you are living with them. You do not disclose that you are being a friend. You are very close relative to them. You are a friend of that family. So you are staying with them, but you never disclose that you are doing a research. So you are just living as a family member and you are observing them, how they interact and how they come close and what kind of exchanges they do. And this way, if you do 4 or 5 families, if you observe closely, you start developing an idea, because you can find out some pattern. So there is a conflict in terms of husband's expectation and their fulfillment in family. Everywhere there is an issue with husband's expectations. If husband is working and wife is home and housewife. So if you find out that there is a pattern, something common I find in these 5 families, so there from the, that ignition of research idea begins, the ignition starts. So it's a long, it requires a different time to discuss that kind of issues or qualitative research in detail. So therefore we have to start. So there is something common in these 5 families. Then you go deeper and deeper and deeper, and then that will help you to raise questions in your mind. Then you start formulating questions. These are the questions I need to know. Resource sharing, time sharing, okay? Their conjugal relationship, confidence on each other, how those have been impacted due to COVID pandemic. Yes, no book is there. You may find some, very, very limited number of research studies published during COVID and after COVID, or during this COVID period. But it is a study which you have to follow qualitative research.
Shelly here again.
Shelly.
So hearing what you just said, this is a new area, so it is kind of a case study. You said you stay.
You can do case study also, yes.
Like a 5 family, you stay and document the kind of cases.
Yes.
So,
you can do case study also.
So even for that social accountability, that kind of a thing, do you think if like I take 5 implementation sites where this thing has been implemented and explore like what all factors, instead of a case control kind of a thing, you explore the things which worked, which did not work.
Yes.
The theories that can be gone in, will that be more feasible than going for a
that you see if I had some a ready reckoner with me, some 2 research papers from 2 different domains, as you're asking, I could have said. Okay. But without reading a research paper, just being I have some knowledge, I cannot give you some answer. Okay. So here both the perspective can give you, both the alternatives can give you different perspectives. Understand?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So one particular approach you justify, it should be matured, it should evolve as an approach to be followed in your research, and then you have to justify and move forward.
Okay.
Okay. Yes.
So in a PhD, like as I said, I have done this kind of research for 20 years. So my take on doing PhD is now that I want to strengthen my theoretical framework. I have done a lot of practical kind of a thing, and so that is the main idea behind doing a PhD now at this stage.
Good.
So do you think it would be easier, like what does the board will prefer, which is a newer area, or going for a the same kind of the PhD, as you said, 80% of PhDs are survey kind of thing.
Yes. Don't do that.
Do you think
Don't do that.
so this new kind of thing they will appreciate, or do you think it is a new
No,
area
definitely.
and,
Sally, if you are taking, for example, if you are taking a sample of 17, 18, so it is a qualitative study, and then from them, if you are doing a phenomenology, for example,
yes.
if you are doing a phenomenology, then what is the common experience? If you can extract from these 15
Exactly.
families or 15 individuals, that becomes the conclusion.
The theories of change may whatever the various kind of thing, and then you
Yes.
okay, sir, thank
You can do because it needs lot of sitting and then lot of further discussion. So that is
Yeah.
limited here. But
Yeah.
I appreciate that you first explore what would be the best method, whether it is a phenomenology or ethnography or narrative study. If it is a personal lived experience, I want to explore the personal lived experience. So I'll do the narrative study.
Yes,
If
sir.
I want to understand the culture shared by a group of people, I'll go for ethnography.
Yeah.
So this way you have to decide.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Chelli, thank you. So if there is no other question, Daya, you can conclude the session,
Yes.
Daya.
So thank you, Dr. Goswami. Not right now concluding, because we will get you another session on 22nd.
Day after tomorrow.
Yes, sir. So that's why I am not giving thank you
What
right
is
now.
that? What is the topic that day?
Formulation of research problem.
Oh, okay, no problem.